I'm out and about somewhere, getting a haircut, getting my car serviced, at a house party with some friends and some new people come along. Invariably, I get asked, Damien, what do you do for work? To which I say, why, I'm a dating coach. To which they say, holy crap, I didn't know that was a job. Tell me all about it. And we end up having this whole conversation about what I do for work. But at some point, someone, man or woman, always utters the phrase, well, yeah, after all, women are super complicated, aren't they? And this little phrase, it bugs me. It bugs me because, first of all, I don't think it's true. I think it's complete bollocks. I'm going to be talking about that later on. But it's annoying, and I don't get, it's not like I get triggered by it. I get annoyed because I think it's dangerous to society in general. It teaches men that, after all, you're never going to understand them, don't bother trying. It teaches women, yeah, you're too complicated for guys, simple guys' minds, don't worry about it. It creates a battle of the sexes where neither side ever bothers to try to feel understood or to try to understand. But women are frustrating. They're complicated, aren't they? I mean, I know what it's like. Women do all these really weird things. They make these requests and they change their mind at the last minute. And then they say they want one thing today. They say they want another one tomorrow. And it's just, I can't keep track of what's going on. Why can't they just say what they mean? Right. I get that feeling. But here's the thing. Is it really like that? Or is that just a story we tell ourselves? That's what I want to talk about today. So to best get my message across today, I think it's easiest for me to share my own personal background story. When I was a young guy in my teens, late teens, I found women uniquely, they were frustrating as hell. It wouldn't just be that I want sex and they don't seem to want sex with me. It was also that I mentioned before, they would change their minds all the time. I couldn't keep track of what they really wanted. And if they were sad or upset, they'd be like, I'm fine. Why not just tell me what the problem is? If they had a problem and I tried to fix it for them, they'd get annoyed with me. There were all these elements to women that were frustratingly weird and unusual and hard to get and hard to understand. But as many of you may know, I was hit with really severe panic disorder in my late teens. And so I stopped thinking about women so much and I really had to focus on myself. And I got really heavily involved in my own self-development as a man. And one of the areas of great, internal voyaging that I did was the realm of my emotional awareness, or what I'd call my emotional vocabulary. Because here's the thing, growing up as a man, what I experienced is that the emotions, or a boy and then a teenager, then a man, the emotions that I was permitted to have were sort of limited. I was allowed to feel angry. I was allowed to feel sad sometimes, but no crying. I was allowed to be happy. As a teenager, I suppose, I was allowed to be horny within reason. But really outside of that, amongst friends, amongst the people that I hung out with, there was no expression of any emotions outside of those, right? So I had a very dull emotional awareness of what I was feeling. And I realized as an adult that meant that I could have things happening internally, and all I could do is say, I feel kind of angry. I feel kind of stressed. I feel kind of sad. That's all I had access to. And when I only have access to those emotions, I can't really express to other people what I'm feeling or what I want. I can't work out what I'm really feeling or what I want. So I can't change my reality because I don't know what's really impacting me. So how would that express in the real world? It might express, I am supposed to catch up with friends for drinks on a Friday night. My friend calls me up 30 minutes before I was supposed to go and says, I can't make it tonight, mate, sorry. And I'd get really angry and I'd think, what an asshole, canceling on the last minute, leaving me high and dry on a Friday night. What a dick move. And I get really angry about it. Because that was the only emotion I'm allowed to have. And the truth of the matter is, I needed to learn how to understand what I felt. So as I did a lot of this work on myself, I may have an experience where a friend would cancel on a night out with me. And I would instead just instantly get angry. I'd first start to feel some anger, and then I would suddenly be aware of, what am I feeling? I'm feeling a sense of abandonment. I'm feeling a sense of not being important enough to someone else. To someone that I thought was a friend, like I've been made unimportant. Now I'm feeling unimportant and unvalued and kind of a little bit unloved. And it reminds me a bit of when I was a kid and, in primary school and early, late primary school, no one would invite me to birthday parties, and that was really hurtful, and I feel kind of resentful to anyone who would do that. So I feel a lot of resentment to him too, because he's cancelled this last minute, because it's making me feel those same feelings I felt as a 10-year-old. Okay, So this is the kind of neurotic emotional journey that every single man has inside of them. You are no exception. But for most of us, we're not aware of that thing playing out inside of us. We just feel anger, and so we get angry. But that emotional internal experience is important because when we understand it, we can change our world. I can then talk to my friend and say, hey, when you do that, it makes me feel those things. Can we work a strategy around this instead of just getting angry and calling him an asshole? It becomes a dialogue that's healthy and makes us better people and have healthier relationships with the people around us. Great. So that's a really good explanation of how you could try to work on yourself and become a better human being, but how does that apply to women? This is why it applies to women. What I found really wild, because I hadn't expected it, was that as I started to really understand myself and my emotional journey inside, when I got better and started to have a normal life again, wasn't really restricted by anxiety and panic disorder, women weren't so complicated anymore. It was like the veil had been lifted. And although women were different, it is true, and they women's lives are different. They have different cultural pressures on them. There are different sets of hormones, different, genes going through in the body. There are differences. Nothing was complicated or weird or odd or strange. What really the truth of the matter was that women already had a highly complex emotional understanding of themselves, most of them. And so what I had been experiencing as a man, and what men in general experience, is all these women having these complex emotional understandings of themselves and ways of expressing themselves. Men only hear in like the 4 different emotions they themselves are capable of feeling. That's all they can see. So they try to interpret like a complex message that a woman's sending in a simple way because that's all they got. And it's not that women are complicated. It's that men are overly simple to their own detriment. They've been forcibly simplified by the way that we've been raised. And when I realized that, it was like, women aren't complicated. I'm complicated. I mean, I'm just as complicated. And she's just as complicated. But now that I understand my complicated self, I totally see what's going on there. And so, yeah, even though there were differences, it only took like conversations to see what the differences were and to understand what she really wanted or meant when she said or says X, Y, Z. It's like the Matrix. I could see the Matrix. And all that was required for me to really understand myself. And I think that many men, I think this would be a big lesson for a lot of guys. A lot of you guys watching, the better you understand yourself, the more you're going to realize women aren't weird or odd or complicated or annoyingly obtuse. They're actually just more connected with the complex range of emotions that they feel. And obviously not all women are. Some women are completely emotionally dumb. And so be it. But the reality is most women aren't. Most women, from little children with estrogen going through their bodies, little girls talk and communicate and talk about emotions, talk about feelings over and over and over and over again. They get really good at it. Men, we don't, right? So this is the thing. If you can work on that part of yourself, really, anytime you feel a strong emotion and you're like, I just feel angry, I don't quite know why, but I'm feeling angry, start to explore that. Start to talk about it with people or a therapist or someone. Better understanding you have of that, the better you will understand women. I hope you've enjoyed this video today. It's something a little bit different. It's one of those topics that just came up in a coaching session with a client, and I thought this is something that I want to talk to the rest of you about as well. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Like the video, of course, and check out some others. If you like this one, there's a good chance you'll like them as well. As always, take care, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.